Alright folks, it's Andy here from Rusty and the Woodsman. It's been a while. It's been well over a year since me and Rusty come out to the woods on a wild camping trip by ourselves. So today I've come a bit minimalist. I brought my own little pack. I made this myself, a lockdown project. I'll probably show it off a bit later on in the video. But yeah, like I said, I've come quite minimalist. Tonight it's going to be a wool blanket camp. There is a couple of down trees. They've sort of broken off at the top. There's literally one right there, and the boughs at the top are still green, so it must have happened fairly recently. So I'm going to use, oh here's Rusty, he's out with me as well. I'll be using those boughs to make a sort of sleeping platform off the moss. It's a bit damp because there's been a couple of days of rain, but what can you do? So yeah, I've got a bit of roast beef to cook over the fire. So that's pretty much what I've got planned for this video. It'll really just be chilling out, eating a bit of food, hanging out with Rusty in the woods. Some of them are more or less ready to go, other ones, the centre branch is a bit too thick, like this one. That'll dig in a lot, so I'll just trim the smaller bits off. Trying to keep like the thicker parts of the branches towards the outside, so the centre of the mat's more comfortable. I mean, it's still spruce need, isn't it? It's still going to jag my arse and that, so. But either way, it's better than just sleeping straight on the damp ground, which it is damp because it's been raining the past few days up here. Right folks, that's the sleeping platform done. It might seem a bit overkill because it is about a foot high, but once I'm like lying down on that, it's going to compress down to probably about half of what it is, which means I'm closer to the ground. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I could make it, you know, I could add more to it. There's plenty of those boughs from the down trees that are around here to, you know, make it higher. But I think I'm just going to leave it at that. A foot high seems good. I've still got a couple of boughs left there. I'm going to make a small platform behind that for Rusty. Like I said, I've got the wool blanket, I'll be sleeping in that. I've got some warm kit, I've got a warm shirt to go over the top of this, got warm wool gloves, warm wool hat. My mum knitted that for me, it's 100% lamb's wool. I wore it last time I was up here. I just came for the day, I didn't film it, but yeah, kept my head warm. I'll shave my head now, it's much easier for me, much more practical, and I don't have to sit in a barber's chair and do all that nonsense chit chat. Yeah, I've also, in the wool blanket, I've got a down jacket rolled up in that, so I can wear that when I go to sleep as well. For Rusty, I've got his normal stuff. I've got his blanket, which I can then put on top of boughs, and then I've got his jacket as well that he can wear. And if it does get that cold, you know, he can cuddle up with me in my blanket, and we'll keep each other warm. I'm not planning to have a fire through the night, unless the temperature goes down that low. I'm really struggling with it, but it's May now. I mean, yeah, it's going to be cold, but it's not going to go into the freezing temperatures. It at least tonight it's not going to be anyway. So yeah, not planned having a fire through the night, but I will keep some firewood to the side just in case I wake up and I am too cold. But otherwise I'm just planning on sucking it up and getting on with it. But yeah, so next stage after I've done Rusty's mat is I'm going to go out and cut some firewood. Thought I'd test out my bed. Yeah, as I suspected, very jaggy. It smells nice and sprucey though. Well, I was saying I was going to be doing some showering today about, I think about 3 o'clock, between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock, just sort of on out of showers, but we've just hit 12 o'clock and there's rain. So I don't know if this is rain and the weather forecast has changed since I last saw it, or if this is one of the showers have started a bit earlier. So I'm just going to hide under here for a bit and hope that it sort of goes off soon. I've got a half decent pile of firewood here, but I'd like more because tomorrow it's supposed to rain. Well, I say rain, it's supposed to be showers tomorrow, but like all day, and I don't know how early they're going to start, especially since now that this weather's been pushed forward as well. So hopefully I'll get a lull on it and I can get back out and get more firewood cut, so I can get just a little bit gathered for tomorrow morning just to cook up breakfast. But the majority of it I want for tonight, well later on, just to cook up the roast beef. This bit here is going to be the spit. There's like a knot in the middle here, so I'm just trying to trim it down for when it comes to putting the point on the end and then feeding the steak over it. I am going to deback this whole bit of wood as well, just for preventing bacteria getting into the meat. Well folks, I've got pretty much everything done. The spit's all made, all the bits are together for that. I've just got a little bit of firewood to cut for tomorrow morning, and then that's me squared, and I can just chill out for the rest of the day. But I thought I'd just have a breather for a few minutes and just go through some of the equipment that I brought with me on this trip. So cutting tools, I've got my little folding saw. This is an Airage, if that's how you pronounce it. Airage. Anyway, this is off Amazon, it's about £15. I rate it much more than the Silky saw, to be honest. It's got much more aggressive teeth on it. The Silky's good for finer stuff, but this absolutely buzzes through wood like. My little hatchet, and then my knife. This is a new knife. This is something that I got into during the lockdown as well, was making knives. Originally it was just another lockdown project where I made a batch of knives for me just to mess about with in the woods when I'm out and about. But there's a lot of positive feedback from it because I was, posting pictures on Instagram and whatnot, and I got quite a few comments from people saying you should sell these. So I did. I put them up for sale, and then I ended up making a second batch, like having a proper go at making knives. This is one of the ones from the second batch. I've sold a couple of my knives so far. I called it Rustwood Knives, obviously taking a bit of inspiration from the channel, Rusty Woodsman, Rustwood Knives. But yeah, this is one of the ones that I've made. It's your sort of standard Bushcraft style knife. 4.5 inch blade, 01 tool steel, 4mm. The handle is a curly birch, stabilised curly birch with a green micarta bolster and red G10 liners, and then brass hardware, and then a leather sheath with removable belt dangler. So yeah, I've kind of gotten into knife making sort of part-time, if you like. So yeah, if you're interested in a knife, I'll leave some links in the description of this video to my Instagram or my Etsy shop or even my Facebook page, all dedicated to Rustwood knives. So yeah. Got this little belt kit pouch. The water bottle's got water in for Rusty, and the pouch has the bit of beef, and then also it's what I kept the camera in. This is the pack. This is another lockdown project. It took me about 3 weeks to make it. I'd sew it all by hand. I did have a sewing machine for a bit there, but it conked out on me, so yeah, back to sewing things by hand. So it took me about 3 weeks with a couple hours sewing in the evening, just sat there in front of Netflix and chill, Netflix and sew. But yeah, I based it on the Hidden Woodsman Day Rock by Malcolm. I really liked that pack, and I was very close a few times to actually buying it, but he doesn't do, like, I'm pretty sure anyway, he doesn't do custom like orders, if you like. It's basically he makes some in the colours he makes them, and that's what's available to you. But I really wanted it in this brown, so I decided to just have a crack and make it myself. It's got a little sleeve on the front to keep your axe or hatchet, and then muller loops on the side to attach a couple of extra pouches. There's some loops on the bottom so I can attach bed rolls, because that's what I attached my wool blanket to, was the bottom of this. And it's got a couple of wings at the top to basically cinch kit down, and it's got a male and female clip, cinch it down, and it keeps kit inside, and a big top flap to go over the top. It's got an orange liner inside just to make it a bit easier to see inside of the pack when conditions are a lot murkier than what it is now. But I've got Rusty's food in here for today, tonight and tomorrow. Got a pair of my wool mittens, head torch. This is my 100% lamb's wool hat knitted by my mum. So that's really warm. An apple, a bit picky, so I'll probably get into that in a minute. I've got my shirt, Rusty's jacket. I'm also sitting on his blanket at the minute. And then something I decided to do was start keeping a journal of my trips. Not so much for like drawing pictures of plants and wildlife and trees and whatnot. It's more just for at the end of the day when I'm chilling out, basically just write a record of what I did, how I did it, how I could improve next time, etc, etc. I'm going to try and keep to that. Yeah, so that's everything from the pack. the wool blankets behind me. It's just a cheaper one off eBay. It was about £30. To be honest, I don't even think it's it's not 100% wool, and I'm not entirely sure how much of the content is wool against other fibres. But wrapped up in this is also my down jacket. And then we have this, which is another lockdown project, and I'll open this up. So this is another pouch that I made. And what it does is it contains a fire tray that sits above the ground. It's got little fold out legs on the bottom, and then I can have a raised fire and not have to worry about it damaging the ground. I mean, it's a bit rickety, but once you've got it all sussed out, it sits nice and flat. Yeah, like I said, it's a small fire. It's, what's that? It's probably about 10 inches by 9 or something like that. Actually, it's about 14 inches, I think. Anyway, it is the size it is. It's not that big. I mean, you take my hatchet. So there you go. This was packed inside the pack as well. But obviously, because it's basically a container, if you like, I can also pack things inside of this as well, as you can see. So I've got Rusty's bowl for putting water in and also his food. I've got my plate for eating my breakfast tomorrow. I've got my spork. I've got my pot hanger here. It's just one of those fish mouth openers. I've got my gloves for working around the fires, keep myself from burning myself. That's the lid to my little pot, which is in one of the side pouches on the pack. Also my second water bottle's in there. Got a jumbo maxi bone for Rusty after dinner. A couple of boiled eggs and these Heinz Beans Creations. These are quite good because you can boil them in the bag, so it's like those army ration packs. And then I'll boil these eggs up as well, chop them up and then put them together. Bag of nuts, again for a snack for later. Bar of chocolate for in the evening. Bum wipes. Small first aid kit, cuts kit. And then I've got my sharpening kit in here. This is how I'm planning to light the fire tonight. I'll show you that in a minute. And then for tomorrow morning, this was something I was messing about with during the lockdown as well, making these survival matches. It's the UCO ones, but I've sort of modified it somewhat to make it better than what it already is. So I'll probably get the fire going tomorrow morning with that. But yeah, this is the fire tray. Fold out legs. They're just 4 hinges and then 4 right angles. The hinges are bolted on and then the right angles bolted on the hinges, and they just fold flat like that. So along with a pocket full of dry grass, this is what I plan on getting the fire going with tonight. So I've got a piece of flint here. This is a tin of charred punk wood, although I do think I'm running pretty low on it. Come on. There's enough there to work with. And then this pouch here is my sharpening kit. This is my field sharpening kit. It's usually in my pack when I come out. Got a few different things in here for maintaining tools. So I've got, this is boron carbide. This is basically an 800 grit stone. And then this is synthetic ruby. This is a 3000 grit stone. You can use these dry, which is why I chose them, but you can, better effects when they're wet. On the back of this one, it's got a strop glued on. What I've also got in here is a double-sided diamond stone. This is a 180 grit with a 1000 grit. The intention is to never ever really need this, but if I do take any nasty dinks to my blade while I'm in the woods, then I can use that to grind it out and then basically resharpen on these. But what I've also got in here is a file. This is mainly for the axe. I'll use this to touch up the edge of my axe along with these 2 stones here. But this being a file, it's a mini bastard file. It's checkered on the 2 sides and then it's jimped on this one edge, but this other edge here, this is just flat, and if you strike that, I don't know if they'll come up, but you strike this just like a your flint and steel kit. So I'm going to get the meat on now. This is a piece of roast beef. I did a bit of seasoning at home, salt and pepper and that, so I don't need to do anything other than stick it on the stick. Stick it on the stick first. You smell that, eh? Ah, good. The stupid little zip thing isn't working. So the battery just died there and hadn't realised, but that's the meat now on a stick, so I'm going to get it over the fire. Well, this turned out a treat. It's nice and juicy and tender. I was a bit worried that it would, you know, dry out. Maybe it has done more towards the centre, but at least on the surface it's beautiful, nice and juicy and tender. The fat in it's rendered down really nicely as well. And with a nice sharp rustwood knife, it's easy to just slice a few slivers off. But yeah, that beef, that was delicious. That was really nice. Shared some of it with Rusty as well. Can't come out to the woods and no give Rusty a bit of the beef, or steak, or sausages, or bacon. He's sitting sniffing about there, chewing pine cones, tail wagging away, just absolutely loving life, mincing about in the woods. Hey bud, hey, come here, come here. Oh, he's a good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy, yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to see me with how dark it is. I mean, to be honest, it's not that dark in the woods, it's coming across darker on the camera. But I've had to move Rusty's bed to the front. I made his like browse bed in the back there, and then I lay his blanket down to get him to go and like settle down in the back, but he wouldn't go, so basically I've moved it to the front, and then he's happy to lay here on it now, so he'll still be protected from if it does end up raining through the night. The rain won't be able to get on him. But yeah. So I'm just sitting in my backpack here now. It's a little bit colder, it's not hugely colder, I haven't put my gloves on yet. I don't have my down jacket on yet either. But the birds are still lively, you can still hear them twittering away. Morning folks. It's 6 in the morning. I've probably been awake from about 5:30 though. I woke up a couple of times through the night, a bit chilly, and it's definitely cold this morning. I was charging my phone through the night, or at least I thought I was, and I just clicked on it the other now, and it says that it couldn't charge because the temperature was too low, so try again later. So I don't know, must have got that cold through the night that the charger couldn't actually charge the phone. But yeah, it's on now. It's on 3% now. But yeah, I think I was sliding off the browse bed. When I woke up I was at an angle, and basically my feet were just on the ground. My toes are pretty cold, a bit numb. Yeah, it wasn't the best night's sleep I've ever had. I didn't expect it to be either though, but something I've always wanted to do. Sleep out in a spruce bed and a wool blanket, and now I've done it. Hey bud. Breakfast, eh? Yeah. Doing a bit of split wood here. From the firewood that I cut, I just want to cut batt and a few into quarters. With my Russellwood knife. I've been calling these models the Woodsman, so I've got the 4-inch Woodsman, and then this is the 4.5-inch Woodsman. I've also got a camp knife as well, which is just camp knife. maybe I'll show that in a different video. This has been a good trip. I've really enjoyed this. You know, even though not the best night's sleep, not a great deal of sleep in the whole grand scheme of it, but nonetheless, I still feel really fresh this morning. I'm so happy to be back out in the woods again. I've got the boiled eggs on now, so I'm going to let them cook up, and I've got these. Want that rusty? Yeah, you like that? See, yeah, these Heinz Creation beans. It's what are they? Spanish beans with smoky pepper and onion. They're nice enough on their own, but you know, chop a bit of boiled egg up into it, and that's a decent meal that is. Bit of greenier in there as well. And then just chop up the eggs. Nothing fancy, just very filling. Fat ammo, I'm calling it, to be honest. Well folks, I've broken down camp, everything's packed away in the pack. I'm sitting on the wool blanket right now, but I'll get that strapped to the bottom afterwards and get the camera gear away. Oh, don't know if you're hearing that. Never heard that before, ever. Wonder what that is. You hear that? Anyway folks, yeah, it's been a good trip. I've really enjoyed it, sleeping out in a wool blanket. Like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, just never really got around to it. But now I have, sleeping on a spruce bed as well. And I've got a lot of admiration for, you know, our ancestors and whatnot who used to sort of do that for multiple nights and multiple locations and whatnot, because I'm not too sure I'd want to have to do it that way. I think I'll probably do it again. Probably do it in the winter just to see what that's like. Maybe do it somewhere where I can have a long fire. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have a long fire in here, especially how dry it's been recently. I mean, the past couple of days it's been raining, but over the past few weeks it's been really dry here. So I wouldn't want to have an open fire on the ground. Also, it's coniferous woodland, so it's not the best idea. If you can help it, have some sort of raised fire, whether it's a little twig stove or making your own thing like I did. Especially coming into the summer now, and also with what's been going on the past year or so, the fact that we're not allowed to leave the UK on holiday and stuff like that. You know, everyone's going to be going camping, everyone. So there's going to be a few people going out there who don't really know what they're doing, and things are going to get messed up a bit this summer, just like last summer did. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave the video there, folks, and as always, appreciate you taking the time today to watch my video, and hopefully it won't be so long before I see you again. Take care.